Hi, my name is Aubrey Duff, and I'm going to do my presentation on cluttered visualization versus organized visualization using Hypermedia. So cluttered visualization, what it looks like, what it does, it can give too much information for students to soak in or take in all at once. It can be all over the place. Too many links can get students lost in cyberspace. Does not provide for very good scaffolding for different levels of students. Can cause an overstimulation, so the students aren't taking in what they need to take in and get intimidated or frustrated. Can be very confusing for students, and it makes it hard for teachers and students to meet their objective. This is one example I found of cluttered visualization on leadsquared.com in a blog called Top 10 Education Website Designs to Inspire You in 2016. So if you're looking for a meat market and you're looking for one specific type of meat, this can be kind of overstimulating. Look at all of the words, look at all of the, it's very hard to follow and hard to figure out what you're looking for. So the same thing when you're doing lesson plans or providing something for the students. If you're using pictures and videos and web links, this is just too much. It would be hard for the students to follow. So good visualization, organized visualization, would be using clear font that's easy for students to read. Font that's not too bright. Content is organized in a way that does not overstimulate. Videos and text are kept brief. Hyperlinks are kept to a minimum, and give students a choice with 2 or 3, but also not let them get lost in cyberspace by giving them too many links. Not too many pictures on one page, and using the effective use of white space, and clear, precise instructions to help students navigate, whether that's a how-to or giving them those 2 or 3 sites to follow and telling them what to look for so they have something to follow. Some of my favorite classrooms or platforms to use in order to provide these instructions or links are Google Classroom, because I can make up my own. Khan Academy, which offers you a platform to kind of help your students navigate, but they can take quizzes or they can go lesson by lesson and see how they do in it. And there's also YouTube videos that they provide in order to advise them on how to do it. Another one was iCivics, and I like this because it provides me with lesson plans that I can follow, but it also gives me like games for my students to play, which is very interactive, and I like that. So I can ask them to go in and play, and they are learning as they're going, but it's an organized website and it's clear for them to follow. I was hoping to show you a game, but it's loading pretty slow. Let me pause this. This game is Do I Have a Right? There's usually music and sound, which isn't too bad. You can have them choose whichever one they want, but I just wanted you to see it. It gives clear instructions, and then they actually have these avatars and they play the game. So there's the instructions, and it's pretty fun for them to do. But eventually they will get in there and they will do civics related stuff, learning about rights, and my students usually have fun doing this, but they're also learning. ReadWriteThink.org is another site that I like to use, and I can direct them to, and it provides a lot of interactive tools. This one is creating a Diamante poem, and they will enter their name. I'm just going to show you. Then you put your topics in. So it provides them a template, and it tells them what to put, adjectives, and you fill it in, and then at the end there will be their end product for the poem. There are so many other interactive tools that they could use, and me as a teacher will help direct them to these interactives. There are a lot of graphic organizers, a lot of different activities that they can do, fairy tales, picture matches, so this is a lot of fun. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation. Have a great day.